Let's talk about the top three places you'll go to die as CEO and how to avoid them and thrive. And this is based on my 2 decades plus of top leadership roles in entrepreneurship, starting my own companies, as well as organizational leadership, nonprofit leadership, as well as 2+ decades of studying top leadership, top 1% leadership, and for the last 11 years, coaching hundreds of CEOs and other top leaders. This is exactly where you will go to die as CEO. And I'm going to tell you right now how to avoid that and what you need to do to succeed. Now, this is based on a great quote from the late, great Charlie Munger. And he says, "Tell me where I'm going to die so I don't go there." This is called inversion thinking. Tell me where I'm going to go to die so I don't go there. Wisdom is prevention. Charlie Munger also said that. So, what I'm going to tell you is, and here's the top three rules for CEOs that you need to know now, whether you're a CEO or a potential CEO or top leader of any organization, business organization. Rule number one is delegate or die. Rule number two is difficult conversations or die. And rule number three is sell or die. And what I'm going to tell you right now is that if you're not capable of doing these three things, you will never be successful as CEO. So just forget it. Don't even try. Go do something else. There's all kinds of other great things you can do in the world, but don't become a CEO if you're not willing to do these three things and get good at them. You will always struggle and you will always be stressed unless you get good at these three things. So don't say I didn't warn you. Now you know. You have been enlightened in terms of the reality of being a CEO, top business leader. So let's jump in. I'm going to be very specific here and prescriptive for you. Delegate or die, number one. And Warren Buffett said the difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. So we need to start with what do you need to say yes to? So you know what you need to say no to. You need crystal clarity on what you need to say yes to. And it's going to be a combination of two concepts. I'm going to share with you two crucial tools, two crucial concepts. It's going to teach you exactly what you need to say yes to so you can be very successful. Tool number one is what I call the sweet spot. Everyone has a sweet spot. This is what you were born to do. It's your natural talent. It's a natural gift or gifts that you have, that you were born with, things that come easier to you than most. The second part of this is what are you curious about? Where is your extreme curiosity? What do you get obsessed with that you love learning about and then love to do? So it's a combination between your extreme curiosity slash obsession and what you were naturally born to do. This is what I call your sweet spot. Everybody's got one. And you just have to take the time to figure it out. So take a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle. What am I naturally good at on one side, and what do I love to do? Write everything down and then see where the overlap is. Everybody's got a few things. And sometimes there's things that you love to do that you're not that great at. That's a hobby. Okay. Your career needs to be what you love to do and what you're naturally good at. This is your energy zone. I refer to this as your energy zone. It gives you energy to do this kind of work. This is also your mastery zone because if you have natural talent at something and you're extremely curious about it and love to learn about it and do it, this is mastery. This is your mastery zone. You'll never master something unless you've got that extreme curiosity, obsession, and love to work at it. It's just not going to happen. And this is also your natural edge in life. Where your natural gifts match up with what you're extremely curious about, this is your natural edge. This is your competitive advantage in life. Very few people get crystal clear on this. I got clear on mine, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made to get clear and go all in on my sweet spot. Now, your sweet spot must match up with what I call the signal, okay? The signal in your business. And this is where you're growing people and growing profits. That's the signal. That's signal work. Everything else is just noise. You've got to focus on work that grows people and or grows profits. This is your growth zone. This is your $1 billion napkin work. I help CEOs and founders create a $1 billion napkin. Now, your $1 billion napkin will fall under three key categories of business. Number one is culture and leadership. That's the first C. The second C is your core product. And the third C is your clear path to growth. So this is your $1 billion napkin, those three things. And this is when you do work in according to your $1 billion napkin, that's all signal. This is where you need to spend 90% of your time on signal work. So, number one, on your $1 billion napkin, be the best place to work for the best people, the best talent in your market and field. That's rule number one. That's your culture and leadership guiding principle. Number two is become someone's favorite. Aim to win an award. That's your core product mission. You need to become preeminent. That's the only long-term competitive advantage. So you've got to become someone's favorite, aim to win an award. And then the third C is your clear path to growth, and that's sell, 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 and nobody notices normal. You've got to prioritize sales and you've got to operate in a way that's different. You got to show up different. Nobody notices normal in terms of your customer service, which you have to go the extra mile because nobody notices normal customer service. And you've got to market outrageously. You've got to show up different and market in different ways. So that's your $1 billion napkin. You need to do signal work 90% of your time in terms of that napkin. And I help organizations get very specific on their $1 billion napkin and exactly what it is as they would define it in their company and industry. Now you know what to say yes to, your sweet spot work and where that lines up with your signal work, which that's growing people and growing profits. It has to match up. And where it doesn't overlap, you need to partner up with someone or hire a CEO or COO or somebody who can do that $1 billion napkin work that you don't love to do and you're not naturally good at. Okay, that's the magic overlap. Now, delegate and managing, delegation and managing. I'm going to teach you right now exactly how to do this. And this is 2 decades plus of experience, having the privilege of leading and managing hundreds of employees over the years, as well as training hundreds of CEOs and high impact leaders. Here's exactly how to delegate. Here's your 3 rules. Rule number one, ask people to do 5% more than they're already doing. Okay, what most CEOs are going to do, especially rookies and rookie leaders, are going to take that extra 5% on themselves. And then when they have 20 people or 50 people or 100 people, they instantly drown because they're doing work that someone else could have and should have been doing, but the CEO doesn't have the courage to delegate it and or ask people to do 5% more. Notice I said 5% and not 50% more. You don't want to break people. You don't want to overwhelm people and overwork people and burn people out because that's inhumane and it's also not productive in the long run. So just ask people to do 5% more than they're doing. That actually stretches them and challenges them and puts them in a flow state and into the zone where they really have to stretch themselves a little bit, but at the end of the day they feel good. You also have to teach your people how to manage their time as well. You've got to do that. So you've got to master managing your own time first, um, which I specialize in with clients. That's one of the key things I work with clients on. Number two is don't do failure work. Now, a mentor of mine, Dr. Alan Weiss, who's written close to 70 books on business and leadership. He's in the National Speakers Hall of Fame. He's coached and advised half of the Fortune 500 companies at this point. And he calls this failure work. Don't do failure work, meaning if someone comes and makes a mistake and brings it to you, don't just fix it for them. And that's what a lot of people pleasing, too nice CEOs and leaders want to do. They'll do it themselves. No, you have to send the person back to correct it. That way the person learns how to do it the right way. So don't do failure work. Most CEOs and managers are just way too nice. And there's a difference between nice and kind. Kind is being useful to others and serving them in other ways. Too nice is just being afraid to challenge people to do better. And most CEOs are way too nice. They just don't have the courage to do it. So if you're too nice, which we're going to get to in a minute, then just uh, don't do this. Okay, you're going to be stressed and struggled, and your people you're going to fail your people if you're too nice. So rule number 3 is manage standards, checklists, and deadlines, not people. So you've got to set clear standards of performance and expectations. When you ask someone to do something, you either create a checklist together or you already have a checklist in place to complete this task. And then you're going to manage those 2 things, standards and deadlines, not people. And lastly, I'm sorry, standards and checklists. And lastly, you're going to manage deadlines. So you need to set a deadline that you both agree to and you both put it on the calendar. So you're going to check in on this date and time. Now, if you don't set deadlines where you both check in and it's both on your calendar, don't whine when people don't get things done and don't hit deadlines. That's 100% your fault as a leader. You need to set a clear deadline and put it both on your calendar. By putting it on the calendar, that gives teeth to what you're asking. Now it's a prescription, not a suggestion. This must be done. So again, you need to set these deadlines and you need to have it on your calendar. And if people don't get it done, don't whine because it's all on you. And by the way, everything's on you as a leader. You are the cause of everything in the organization. So get used to it. The mirror never lies. The mirror is your people and the organizational performance when you're CEO. So there's no blame and no excuses for you. You've got to just don't get bitter, get better as a CEO, which I have the honor and privilege of helping people do on a 7 days a week, pretty much at this point. There's people out there who can help you do this. There's books you can read, there's mentors. Next, here, 5 laws of delegation. I'm going to tell you exactly how to delegate. Law number one, don't give a drowning person a brick, meaning do not delegate to someone who is already overwhelmed with work. Law number two, the right person for the right reason. Give the work to a team member who has the proper skill set. Law number three, the best leaders set deadlines. Set clear and hard completion dates for tasks and projects. Law number four, it's the 80% rule. If someone can do something 80% as good as you, delegate it. The exceptions are your top 3 vital functions. Those cannot be delegated. And then law number 5, the 5-90-5 rule, which is the first 5% is explaining the exact desired outcome and setting a clear deadline. The next 90% is the team member doing the work. You are available to answer questions and assist if necessary during that time. Okay. The last 5% is checking the completed work to either approve it, suggest corrections or improvements, or scrap it and start over. My book recommendation for you in terms of Delegate or Die is the No BS Time Management by Dan Kennedy. Okay, principle number two, difficult conversations or die. You need to first, though, get really good at hiring and really good at coaching so you don't have to fire people. Get really good at hiring and get really good at coaching so you don't have to fire people and have the most difficult conversation of all. But there's difficult conversations before then that can prevent the firing. So number one, there's 3 stages of relationships. There's the setup, picking the right people, whether you're personally or professionally picking the right people in your life. Number 2 is the ability to have difficult conversations that improve the relationship. And stage number 3 is if you've had these difficult conversations and the relationship isn't improving, you have to part ways. Those are the 3 stages. Now, stage number 1 is success is in the setup. You need to bring people into your organization and life that have 3 things, okay? Energy, excellence, and warmth. So this is what I call talent mastery. This is the 3 key traits of the best people, the best talent, the best A players for your company and industry. So trait number 1 is high energy. They are passionate about doing the work that you are hiring them to do, whatever that is. Everyone's passionate and energized and curious about a certain type of work. It's your job to make sure the person you're hiring has that. Okay. Trait number 2 is high excellence. This is several notable personal accomplishments in life as well as professional accomplishments in life in terms of what you're hiring them to do. So you need to pause the interview when you're interviewing someone and ask them, give them 3 to 5 minutes to write down all their proudest personal and professional accomplishments. And you can step out of the room. And I suggest you do because most likely this person's never been asked this and it's going to be hard when you put them on the spot. Number 2, let them sit and think about this. The best predictor of future success is past success. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. So you need to know that this person is committed to excellence in all areas of their life. And then trait number 3 is high warmth. That, for me, it's they smile easily and often during the interview. Does your gut tell you this is a warm person? And you can also pause the interview and ask them to write down all the times in the last year they served family, friends, volunteered their time, anything they could think of. If they have a few things, that's great. So just pause the interview and ask them to think about times they've served others. Now, that's the hiring process. Success is in the setup. If you get really good at hiring, you avoid a lot of mistakes. Go for great in everything in your life. Whether you're bringing people into your life personally or professionally, you're going to prevent a lot of issues and problems. Wisdom is prevention, as Charlie Munger said. Now, in the meantime, you need to set and live and uphold the highest standards of attitude, effort, and behavior in your organization. You've got to set a standard how you live, and everyone needs to be clear on what that standard is. Attitude, effort, and behavior. So, attitude, easy example, is a positive attitude, and a great mentor and friend and teacher of mine, Dr. Jason Selk, calls this relentless solution focus, just having a solution focused mindset towards life. The opposite is gossiping, complaining, condemning, venting, blaming others. You want to avoid that attitude, and it starts with you. So you better not do those what I call mindless negativity things yourself. Number two is in terms of effort, extra mile effort. You want to go a little extra yourself. Just go a little extra. You don't want people who do the bare minimum or less than the bare minimum in your organization, but that starts with you. You have to be the one who goes the extra mile and sets the standard. And then number three, in terms of behavior, be kind and useful to others. Be kind and useful to your teammates. Be kind and useful to your boss. Be kind and useful to your customers. Be kind and useful. And notice I didn't say nice, I said kind. Be kind. Nice is you're afraid to have difficult conversations. Nice is you're a people pleaser. Kind is just serve others and don't ask for anything in return. Have no agenda for it. Now, you need to be tough on standards and easy on people. So when it comes to these standards, you've got to be tough on them, but easy on people. Don't judge people. Everyone was raised differently in different environments, has a different upbringing. Some people were never raised to have a great attitude, effort, and behavior. You need to hire for it to the best of your ability, but most likely you need to challenge people along the way, even great people. So you need to also be able to coach people up in attitude, effort, and behavior. So I'm going to teach you right now how to do that. I call it the crown effect coaching method. It's catch, challenge, care. So someone say they need to improve their behavior in some way, shape, or form. You're going to sit down, but beforehand, you're going to write down three things you love about them that they're doing great. This is catching people doing things right. Then you're going to identify one thing they need to do better and give a specific, objective example of them doing this. You can't just say, you need to be a nicer person. That's too subjective. You need to say, when you said this to your coworker in front of others, that was not kind. You need to improve this. And then number three, that's challenging them to do better. That's the second C. And the third C is you need to care. You need to ask them, help me understand why this is happening and how can we improve this? So you need to listen, care enough to listen and help them get better. Then lastly, you need to set a deadline for a follow-up conversation on this within 1 to 30 days. No more than 30 days. It's both on your calendar, day and time. That's how you be a great coach. Rinse, repeat. And sometimes you can even skip the first step of which is catch and just say, hey, here, let's talk about this for a minute. When this happened, you got to do this better. And you also have to believe in them. That's the third. When you challenge someone, you got to believe they're actually going to get better. You have to believe that. If you don't, you need to make a change in the organization with them. So you need to identify your current team members. Are they coachable, committed, and capable? This is the ultimate criteria. Number one, you've got to be coachable, committed, and capable. Coachable is defined as I know I have a problem or I know I can improve something. I need to get better. I know I have a flaw here. That's humility. The committed part is you'll actually do the push-ups to get better. Because you can be coachable and say, you know what, I need to improve this, but you're not willing to do the push-ups. And then the third is capable. So you need to ask yourself, if this person is coachable and committed to doing the work, are they actually capable of doing what you're asking them to do? So if you promote someone to a top leadership position, they may be coachable and committed to getting better, but they may not be capable of doing what you're asking. So you've got to look at that through that criteria. If they're not one of those three C's, you need to either move them to a different position or you need to part ways with them, unfortunately. So if you do have to part ways with someone, which I want to avoid this at all costs, I did not enjoy letting anyone go in all my years. And I had to let quite a few people go, unfortunately, in different organizations, especially when I would take them over from someone else and have to dramatically improve the performance and culture. The only times I did not mind letting someone go is when they stepped on subordinates. When they mistreated others, subordinates or peers, or bullied others, or tried to make people look bad, they got one warning on that. And if you don't improve that, you're gone. I'll never put up with you stepping on mistreating subordinates or just bullying or mistreating others, trying to make people look bad. You need to learn a lesson there. And if you enjoy letting people go, though, go get therapy. Go talk to a licensed professional about why you either don't care about letting people go or you would enjoy letting people go, which is even much worse. So if you got that issue, then go talk to a therapist. And I'm being 100% serious about that. we sometimes have to let people go into that top leadership position. We have to be willing to do that if that is what's best for the team and also what's best usually for the individual as well, so they can find something else better that they're more suited to do. So if you do have to let people go, keep it very simple. Let people keep their dignity and just be respectful about it. And talk to an HR, human resource professional before you do it so you know what to say and not to say. And usually it's best if you have a witness in the room when you have to let someone go. So, book recommendations for this are No BS Ruthless Management of People and Profits by Dan Kennedy and The $1 Trillion Coach by Alan Eagle and Eric Schmidt. So, lastly, the third pillar of this CEO performance is sell or die. Okay, so here's the two rules of this. Number one, you must prioritize sales. You must keep your eye on sales at all times. That is how you keep the company going forward. It's how you pay people. It's how you survive and thrive. And you also must be able to sell. So you've got to be able to go out and do things that sell the product. And then second, you must be obsessed with the product and customer. So you continue to generate good word of mouth or create good word of mouth so people buy more in the future. So the keys to sales are very simple. You've got to, number one, have elevated energy, which I call presence, posture, and positivity. And the number two, you've got to get sales on the calendar. So presence, posture, positivity, very simple. Present, you got to be an expert listener. You've got to, Ryan Serhant, here's a quote from him: connection first, product second. Now, posture is just being very certain in your product and your ability for your product to help your client at the price you're selling it at. So Sean Smith says, if your prospect hasn't bought your certainty, they'll never buy your services. Prospects can feel it. It gets conveyed energetically. And lastly, the third P is positivity. You've got to have a positive regard for the success and happiness of the person you're selling it to. I mean, a genuine positive regard. And Dr. Adam Grant out of Wharton says giving helps you become a better salesperson. Being genuinely interested in your customers' needs will help you build trust and goodwill, which in turn helps you sell your product or service in a win-win kind of fashion. Very important, win-win. And then lastly, Jordan Belfort, Wolf of Wall Street, very famous for that. I have I don't know what kind of character he has now. He definitely had character issues before, but he is an expert on sales. There's no doubt about it. And Jordan Belfort tells us the question you should ask yourself is not how much can I charge them for $1,000 product. Ask the question, what can I create and give people more value that they would walk away and say, I would have paid $10,000 for that. The second part of sales is you must get it on your calendar. You must prioritize sales on your calendar. So Mark Ford tells us when you're starting out and your business is under $1 million, 80% of your time should be spent selling. And Chet Holmes, the brilliant author of this Ultimate Sales Machine. Chet's one of the all-time great sales and marketing experts. Chet says every salesperson should have at least 2.5 hours a day dedicated to prospecting, cold calling, etc. And that includes salespeople who have a full load of clients. Salespeople who don't have a full load should spend at least 4.5 hours per day. New salespeople should spend their whole day prospecting. So that's first part of selling. You've got to have elevated energy, presence, posture, positivity, and then you've got to get it on your calendar. Now, the second part of sell or die is what I call dirty work boots, meaning you've got to be walking out there on the front lines, close to your customer and close to the people who serve your customer so you can listen to both of them and learn and also uphold the highest standards of service and product. So David Senra, great, brilliant business expert, creator of Founders Podcast, he says, the crazy, impressive founders that I've been able to spend a lot of time with, most of them are 60, 70, 80 years old. Those are my favorite. They're not in their office. They're in their warehouses. They're on the factory line. They're in their stores. They're constant contact with the customer and the person. They're in constant contact with the customer and the person delivering the service to the customer. They're not looking at a whiteboard with executives. They're very practical, non-theoretical people. I think that's really important. Here's 2 book recommendations on sales: Becoming Steve Jobs by Brent Schlender. Steve was an expert in product and service and sales, and also The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. And I'm also going to put a link to 2 Founders podcast episodes. One is How Steve Jobs Kept Things Simple, and 2 is How to Sell Like Steve Jobs. So these are your big three to be successful. You've got, as a CEO, you've got to delegate or die. You've got to have difficult conversations or die. And then you also have to sell or die. If you're not capable of doing these three things, you will never be successful as CEO. You will always be stressed and you will always struggle. But if you do get great at these things, and you've got to really got to wanna, as Dr. Alan Weiss taught me, you really got to want to be great at these three things. Be great at leadership in all aspects, from the setup to difficult conversations to sometimes difficult decisions. You've really got to get great at growing your company with sales and marketing and great customer service. You just have to. And you've really got to get great at mastering your time. You've got to learn how to do it and you have to embrace it. Because if you don't, it's going to be a struggle. But if you do, it can be really rewarding. It'll still always be hard to be a CEO, but it can be really rewarding in the end, the positive impact you make on your team and your customers and hopefully your community and society. If you found this episode useful, please like and subscribe to the channel, and please share it with one person you also believe would find it useful. I wish you an elevated life of success, happiness, and positive impact.